The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Just ask the BBC, the self-proclaimed gold standard of journalism, the flag bearer of neutrality. If you ask the BBC, they don't even know what bias means. That's how uncorrupted they are. Or so they claimed. Recently, an unprecedented scandal hit the BBC, a scandal that has claimed its top bosses, a scandal that has forced them to admit bias and apologize. Let's start from the top. Last week, The Telegraph published a report. It contained claims made by the BBC's former advisor, a man named Michael Prescott. Prescott's criticism revolved around one incident, an episode on Donald Trump. It covered his controversial speech from January 2021, the one before the Capitol riots, and it had a problem. The BBC team cut the clip in a peculiar way. See if you can spot it.
We're going to walk down and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here we're going to walk down to the Capitol. And we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them.
Two problems there. First, that BBC clip is a mix. It stitches two different remarks together, remarks that came almost 1 hour apart. That's the first problem. Secondly, it omitted an important part, the part where Trump asked his supporters to be peaceful. The Telegraph report claims that this was done on purpose. And on cue, the backlash began. The UK's Conservative Party wanted heads to roll. Over in the US, Trump's team called the BBC 100% fake news.
This purposefully dishonest, selectively edited clip by the BBC is further evidence that they are total 100% fake news that should no longer be worth the time on the television screens of the great people of the United Kingdom.
This controversy started last week, but surprisingly, the BBC said nothing. No defense, no clarification, and no pushback. Then yesterday night came the big announcement. Two bosses at the BBC stepped down, Director General Tim Davie and CEO of News, Deborah Turness. Both of them resigned yesterday night. They took responsibility for the edited clip. At the same time, they rejected any systemic bias.
I would like to say it has been the privilege of my career to serve as the CEO of BBC News and to work with our brilliant team of journalists. I stepped down over the weekend because the buck stops with me. But I'd like to make one thing very clear. BBC News is not institutionally biased. That's why it's the world's most trusted news provider.
Today, the BBC went a step ahead. The organization's chair apologized for what happened. Let me quote from his statement. The conclusion of that deliberation is that we accept that the way the speech was edited did give the impression of a direct call for violent action. The BBC would like to apologize for that error of judgment. Needless to say, US President Trump is thrilled. He claims all BBC journalists are corrupt. He also accused them of trying to meddle in the elections. And what is London saying? Well, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer's office has responded. They say accountability is key for the BBC. At the same time, he rejected claims of systemic bias. And that seems to be the strategy here. Accept blame in this case, but reject the notion of systemic bias. That's what they're trying to do. Frankly, that sounds counterproductive. Let me explain why. Yes, the BBC edited Trump's clip. Yes, they omitted some parts of his speech, but overall the story stands. In 2021, even the US Congress tried to convict Trump. The House found him guilty of inciting a riot, and in the Senate, 57 lawmakers voted to find him guilty. That includes 7 Republican senators too. So the BBC story is hardly an oversell. Despite the edit, which is problematic, you would expect them to stand by it. As far as bias goes, the BBC has done far worse. They have refused to call Hamas terrorists. They call the terrorists in Pahalgam gunmen and militants. They call Jammu and Kashmir Indian administered. All of this suggests a systemic bias. Instead of admitting any of that, the BBC bent the knee to Donald Trump. They portrayed this as a one-off. Just think about it. If this was some other world leader, would these bosses have resigned? Maybe a prime minister in Asia or a president in Africa. Do you think the BBC bosses would have resigned? Absolutely not. So this is not some moment of self-reflection for the BBC. This is selective reflection. They're not taking responsibility. They're just evading Trump's anger.
Want the facts?
The latest developments?
News that gets straight to the point.
Well, we've got all three just for you. This is Firstpost Live, a brand new show, your window into what really matters.
Don't miss it.